In the realm of web development, a problem frequently encountered is the creation and validation of forms, particularly in React.js. This is a dilemma that can cause quite a few headaches, not to mention countless hours spent debugging and researching. Fear not, for today, we unravel this conundrum, one step at a time, making it as clear as a summer's day. Firstly, what is a form? Simply put, it's a way for users to interact with your web application, be it through entering text, choosing options, or even uploading files. Forms are the cornerstone of user input on the web. Now let's dive into the creation of a form in React.js. It all starts with understanding components. In React.js, everything is a component, and a form is no different. Step 1 is to create a new component. To do this, define a new function that will return the form's JSX code. This function will serve as the form's component. Next, within this component, you will typically use an HTML form element. Inside this, you will find various input elements. These could be text inputs, radio buttons, checkboxes, or drop-downs, depending on what data you wish to collect from the user. Each of these inputs will have an event handler, typically an onChange, which will update the component's state each time the user interacts with the input. This is a fundamental part of React.js, known as controlled components. Now onto the state. Step 2 is to create a state object to store the form's data. This is done using the useState hook, which provides a way to add React state to function components. The initial state of the form is an object with keys corresponding to each input field in the form. The values of these keys are initially set to empty strings, or any default values you wish to set. Subsequently, when a user interacts with an input field and triggers the onChange event, the event handler updates the corresponding key in the state object with the user's input. The final step in creating a form in React.js is handling form submission. This is carried out using an onSubmit event handler on the form element. When the form is submitted, this event handler is triggered. It will typically perform some action with the form's data, such as sending it to a server or updating the UI. Now, onto validation. Validation is crucial to ensure that the data collected from the user meets certain criteria. In React.js, this is typically done in the onSubmit event handler before the form's data is actioned. If the form's data fails validation, the state is updated to include an error message. This error message can then be displayed to the user, providing feedback on what needs to be corrected. To sum it up, creating and validating a form in React.js involves the following steps. 1. Create a new component for the form. 1. Use the useState hook to create a state object to store the form's data. 1. Create input fields with onChange event handlers that update the state with the user's input. 1. Create an onSubmit event handler that validates the form's data and performs an action with it. And there you have it, the art of creating and validating forms in React.js demystified. It may seem complex at first glance, but with practice, it becomes second nature. So, roll up your sleeves and get coding.